Salamat siang, nama saya Karina y soy de Austria, o 27 anni y hablo 7 idiomas. Aprendiendo new languages is one of my favorite hobbies and I'm here today damit ich euch auch zeigen kann comment vous apprendre une nouvelle langue vite aussi. So that was a quick recap of all the languages I'm speaking. I'm currently fluent in 6 languages, learning 2 more. I'm currently learning Dutch and Indonesian, and I'm speaking French, Italian, German, my Austrian dialect if you want to count that, Italian and English. And I wanted to make this video in order to give you guys a lot of helpful and useful tips of how to learn a language by yourself fast and fluently, because I've done it multiple times in the past before and it's not as hard as you might think. So let's get into the tips. Alright, my first tip is focus on vocab, don't focus on grammar. This is something a lot of teachers in school do a lot. They just focus on all the grammar and they just want to get all the grammar structures in your brain, but that's not the proper way to learn a language. The more words you can say, the more you can speak. So make sure to learn as much vocab as you can. Just soak it up like a sponge. It doesn't matter if the grammatical structure is correct or not. If you know more words, you can say more and then the locals will understand you. So make sure to really focus on the vocab and don't focus on the tenses, the grammar. That's something that will come later. But in the beginning, it's really important to get as much vocab into your brain as possible. My second tip is learn through watching TV. I usually don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, I like to watch it in a different language because that's an amazing way to practice. Some platforms like Netflix let you put subtitles, which is awesome because then if your language skills are not that advanced yet, you can read and then you learn by watching TV, which is something amazing. So maybe make that a new habit of yours. Watch your favorite series, watch your movies in a different language. At first it's super challenging, but it will get easier and easier over time, and it's an amazing way to learn a new language without you having to put a lot of effort in it. Tip number 3. Use language learning apps. That's something I love to do a lot. It's not the best way to learn a language, but it can definitely help to put what you've learned into practice and to really also get access to new vocabulary, which is why I like to use it, but I would not solely use it as a means of learning a language, but it can definitely help you. So if you're learning French, make sure you download the French Duolingo version and keep practicing there because it's a great way to get more practice, more exercises in. Another really fun way to learn a language is through reading books. There are special books for language learners, for beginners that have the difficult vocab translated on the side, and it's just a really fun way to put what you've learned into practice. And just read the books you would normally read in your new language if you're already at a higher level. Other than that, just get beginners books. It's a great and fun way to learn a new language. Tip number 5, listen to audiobooks. Just try to get as much of your new language into your brain as you can. This is possible through the movies that I've mentioned, through books, but also through audiobooks. I love audiobooks because it's a great way when you're commuting. You can use that wasted time for learning. So let's say you commute to work every day or you have a long train ride or something, just like put in your earphones and listen to an audiobook in a different language. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it and you just listen to the new language, which is definitely going to help you learn it even faster. Tip number 6, if you want to get really serious about learning a language fast and as fast as possible, I can totally recommend taking lessons. For example, right now I'm here in Indonesia and I want to learn Indonesian, so I'm taking private Indonesian classes, and it has been a complete game changer because that tutor sits down with you one-to-one and can really focus on your language needs, and that is definitely the most pricey but also the fastest way to learn language because the progress you'll be making is just going to be very, very fast. Moving on to tip number 7, find a tandem partner. That is something I have done for every single language I wanted to learn. Usually you can find them in big cities. There are meetups, tandem meetups, where just people who want to learn a different language come together, and you find that person who wants to learn your native language and you want to learn their native language, and then you meet up, let's say for coffee, and for half an hour you talk their language, and for half an hour you talk the language you want to learn, which is a great language exchange basically, and you get to make friends and meet new people at the same time. There's also an app, it's called TANDEM, and you can look for a tandem partner also online, where you can do video calls or just write messages. So this is a great way to really put what you've learned into practice, because the number one mistake I see people make is they are afraid to speak. And when you're learning a new language, it is so important to get the words out of your head onto your tongue and actually speak it. So finding a tandem partner and actually putting what you've learned into practice is a huge recommendation. Moving on to the last tip, get local. If you really want to get serious about learning a language, then you actually have to go to that country and speak it. Like I've mentioned before, most people are afraid to speak, and that's actually the fastest way you've learned. When I went to Spain as an au pair, I had no skills of Spanish whatsoever. I got thrown into a Spanish family that didn't speak a word of English or German. The first 2 weeks I was running around with my little dictionary. I had to look up every single word that I wanted to say, but I learned Spanish basically within a month because I just had to speak it, because I was there. Nobody spoke English or German. I had to speak Spanish. That's the fastest way I've ever learned a language, just through being forced to speak it. Put yourself into an uncomfortable position where you have to speak the language. Go and visit that country. Try to speak with as many locals as possible. Right now I'm in Indonesia. I try to meet as many Indonesians as I can, and I use every single opportunity to speak Indonesian. If I'm at a restaurant, if I go grocery shopping, I try to go out of my comfort zone, and I try to put as much into practice as I can, because that is definitely the fastest way you can ever learn a language, if you just go to that country and you try to speak it. So that was it for my top tips of how to learn a language fast and fluently by yourself. Just stay curious. That is also a huge recommendation. If you are somewhere, try to read signs, try to learn new words as much as you can. Stay curious, learn new words as much as you can, and try to soak up as much of the language as you possibly can abroad or also in your country through audiobooks, books, or movies. And then I just want to say, it's the most precious thing if you travel to a different country and you're able to speak their language. The local people are just so happy about it, and your travel experience will be completely different because you put in the effort of trying to speak their language, and they will appreciate that and will be so happy about that. So that's just a really nice thing to do. And I actually wrote a blog post about this topic as well, how to learn a language fast and easy. I put a lot of detail into that too, so I will link that in the description box if you want to look for more information as well. Go and check that out. Other than that, I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!